Okay, recording on. There you go.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I think, Rob, you must mute. After a false start, we're getting going again. So today is the 8th of July, and we are, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who sent their apologies. We miss you greatly, but we're thrilled that you would like to listen to the recording of this session. So what we are going to do is we are going to send out the video from yesterday, which is on YouTube, but we'll send you the link. And Andre and I both listened, obviously I was the one doing the recording, to listen to Bob. So the stimulus for today's meeting was Meryl sent out a message to say that on South African FM radio, SAFM, there was a discussion going to happen about vitamins, etc. And I didn't listen to it as I wasn't able to at that moment. And I haven't even gone back to listen to the recording, which I'm sure if you were interested enough, you could find it on SAFM. But Bobby Hammond was driving along at the time, and he listened into it. Just to give you a little bit of background as to who and Bob is, he's been a long-time Neolife distributor. He is a pharmacist by profession, and he is in the pharmaceutical industry. He does trials for pharmaceutical companies, but he has upscaled, retrained himself, and he's a qualified sports nutritionist, and he's doing, I can't remember all the details of all his things that he's studying at the moment as he shifts into a different stage of his life. He is a very, very proficient master in I think it's Ironman type of sport, and he's been doing that for years. So he's a sports nutrition expert, and is giving sports counseling or something along those lines. Bobby, please forgive me if I have got this a little bit back to front. Anyway, so yesterday we did a recording about the SAFM radio interview. So Andre, I don't know whether you would like to kick off with some of your comments on what Bob was saying.
Okay, I didn't hear the radio interview, but firstly, I do want to say thank you to Bob for being willing to speak to you about it, because he's able to give all sorts of insight that the likes of us don't have. So the first part of his talk was telling us something about the efforts that are being made to control the supplement industry, that it's a global effort. There is quite it's a mixed bag, because there are a lot of supplements that are just bad, and there's some that are that are poor, shall we say, and there's some that are frankly bad and frankly should not be sold to people. So there is a place, I suppose, to look into those. But from my perspective, Bobby didn't actually say this, there is a big problem with the medical council, or whatever it's called, wanting to get their fingers on the supplement industry and put all their medical type controls over that, because it's not really, in my opinion, so much about protecting the health of people, but actually it's a power grab. It's wanting to make supplements prescribable so that they have the power to actually supply to people through the pharmaceutical industry, and that is seriously bad. But as I said, there are reasons to look at supplements. Now, as far as Neolife is concerned, he spent the first half, I suppose, of the talk pointing out where supplements can be problematic, and that you can't just use them willy-nilly and all that kind of stuff. But I don't recall him saying or telling us this, and that is that Neolife is a voluntary member of some organization in the US, which is a very high-powered nutritional supplement kind of organization, which is actually ratified by the medical industry. You know, it's a highly regarded professional body. And so even if a lot of supplements are controlled or kicked off the market, it's highly unlikely that that will happen to our products. But it might be quite a rocky journey to get to that point, because the arguments will have to be presented that our products are not of that inferior quality and so on. So what I'm saying is, don't get worried at this point, and the fight is not yours and mine to take on. We can do nothing about it, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Neolife is doing everything in their power to point out and to teach the authorities why our supplements are, even if they have to become prescribable, which heaven forbid they do, will be on the list of those things that can be marketed and can be prescribed. Anyway, so that's that aspect of it. Bobby then mentioned that there are things that one can potentially overdose in, and a whole lot of noise is made about how dangerous the fat-soluble vitamins are, like A and D and so on, because they're fat-soluble, so they can be stored in the body, whereas the water-soluble ones can't. And if they're stored in the body and you take a whole lot of it, you will be poisoning yourself, because you're getting this huge stock of, say, vitamin A in your body that is way more than you need. Now, that's been a story forever. It's a scare tactic, and poisonings need to be recorded. You need to report them at the various bodies, and I've read long ago articles where they say that medicinal drugs, there are many poisonings that happen, overdoses and all that kind of stuff. And there was not one single recorded overdosing or poisoning episode relating to vitamin A, for example, although it's a story that is spread there. And I read then also that the amount of supplementation of vitamin A you'd have to take is basically more than you could swallow in a day. It's just ridiculously high. So the kinds of things that we do and recommend are just not going to get you there. And of course, we need to maybe remind people, that don't drink half the bottle of your vitamin A and D in a day. You've got to be reasonable about that, but you've got to be reasonable about absolutely anything you swallow. So overdosing is really not likely. And then Bobby pointed out that the water-soluble vitamins simply don't suffer from that even remote potential, because if your body can't use them, they spill over into the urine, and that's where that story about expensive urine comes in. So vitamin C, for example, we all know that vitamin C is it's an essential nutrient, but not everybody knows that when it's a normal vitamin that our body needs on a daily basis, we need a certain amount. But if you are fighting an infectious disease or disease of any sort, and you can raise that much higher because it shifts from being a vitamin to being a natural antiviral antibiotic. And so by raising the dose quite dramatically, you are now using it as a medication rather than as a supplement. And those are two different ball games. And vitamin C is one of those things where it tells you very quickly when you're taking too much by causing your stools to become loose. And nobody wants a runny tummy. So if you're taking too much, your tummy will tell you this is a bit much, pull back from there. And most people would be surprised if they did the test when they're feeling perfectly healthy, how much vitamin C their body can tolerate. I personally take 4 a day, every day. However, when I'm thinking that a flu is coming along, or my throat is giving that hint that something might be coming along, I push that up to maybe even 10 a day. And it deals with the potential infection, it knocks it on its head, and I don't even get to bowel tolerance. I could take more. So it depends on what you're using it for. And it's very, very, very difficult to overdose. And boy, when you start looking at your pocket, you sure don't want to take more than you need to take. You know, it's an unlikely scenario, but it's used in these, frankly, scare tactics that people use for all sorts of reasons. And boy, do we know about scare tactics in the last 3 years. So don't worry. Us in the neo-life world don't have to worry about things like that. If we give people what is recommended on the bottle, there is absolutely no way at all that you've got any chance of overdosing your client. If they then double it and treble it and all those other things, then that's their endeavor. But what is written on the bottle will never do that to you. I wanted to also say the second half of what Bobby said was actually, the first half was like background information in a way. The second half is what we need to remember for our purposes. And that is that, and he said that for a long time he didn't actually buy into the idea or agree with it or maybe even know about it. But it is actually extremely difficult for us to get all the nutrients we need, even if we're trying our damnedest from our diet. There are all sorts of reasons. We can have in fact, that might be a worthwhile discussion next time, is why is it so difficult to get everything you need from your food? Because in the days when we were young, which is a long time ago, you know, when our mothers said, eat your fruit and vegetables and you know, you will get everything you need, they were almost certainly right in those days. And you are almost certainly wrong nowadays because of the things we can discuss. And so most of us are not being adequately nourished. And at a BNI meeting I went to this week, you know, I in my 1-minute presentation, I spoke about the slow leak. You know, and if you've got a slow leak in your tire, you don't know it's there. And then suddenly you're in a place where it's very unsatisfactory and you've got a flat tire. We are like that. We've got the slow leak, which is undetectable. And then suddenly we end up with a diagnosis that is really quite severe and much more difficult to deal with. So wise people check their tires regularly. Wise people take a supplement so that the slow leaks that you're not even aware of are remedied before they lead to a problem. And that is our message. We are not looking for sick people. We can certainly help sick people, but we are not looking for sick people and presenting ourselves as healers. We are looking for people, trying to educate people about keeping themselves healthy for as long as possible. And you, Monica, and Rob and I are going to show them just how long it can be.
I think you did quite well already, Andre.
So our job is to teach people why they should be taking supplements and why they should be taking ours. And Bobby touched on this as well. The reason ours are so extremely valuable and so worth taking is because they are not synthetic. They actually have been derived, they're concentrates basically from the normal human food chain. They They provide us with the things we ought to be getting, but probably aren't in enough quantities. And so it really is a whole food supplement that makes sure that at the end of the day, what you should have been getting from your food intake, plus with the help of Neolife, you're getting everything your body needs to stay healthy, and you are preventing the slow leak. That's our job. Our job is not to present ourselves either as diagnosticians or as what do you call it? Prescribers of medication. And then I'm conflating something else that we also listened to, that little video on depression, Monica. You know,
can I just add in there, Andre? I will put that video up on the group as well this morning.
Okay. Now that man speaks about being in severe depression for a long time, and he took quite high doses. If I remember correctly, he said he took 6 omegas and 5 vitamin Bs, and it turned his life around. I mean, he went from someone who was largely suicidal, totally dysfunctional, to a fully functional individual again. But that was a severe case, and that was after he was already on 4 pharmaceutical drugs. They were having no impact, and someone who recommended the Neolife stuff, I think he said that she actually had a medical qualification as well. And so he was taking high doses, and he was using it in effect as a medication. But right at the end of that talk, he said something which I have found over and over and over again with eye-popping amazement, actually. And that is that a Pro Vitality, the breakfast pack, a Pro Vitality and a shake turns people's lives around from serious indispositions to health again. And even just a Pro Vitality, and you can go further down. Eventually you can actually say that there are lots of people where just the TreaNN, just that, makes an enormous difference in their lives. And so if we can get people trying those basics, however much their pocket can manage, we will get them feeling better and functioning better. It doesn't have to be those high doses. And I've had 2 young women. One was bedridden almost, like 5 days a week in bed because of burnout. And she started taking Pro Vitality, and she became fully functional again. And another one was not actually bedridden, but battling. And she started taking it, and she said, "You've given me my life back again." You know, they're amazing stories. And then people who aren't really unwell, there's some guy in the BNI that gives me such glowing testimonials, it's positively embarrassing, but he couldn't believe the difference Pro Vitality made for him. He said he wasn't particularly anything, you know, he thought he was just fine, and he in fact didn't believe in supplements, but he was new to the chapter and he thought he'd give it a try. And he said within 3 days, he couldn't believe the difference. So we've got things that for very little input from us, other than the belief in the product and the sharing of the information, can make huge differences in people's lives. And you can bet your bottom dollar that you'll be doing them a favor, and you will be doing them no harm. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, Andre, thank you. Thank you to you and Bob. I really appreciate, and I think everybody else will when they listen to this, the confirmation that our products are, if you can find anything better, let us know.
Don't look. Don't waste your time.
Exactly. That we're completely convinced that we are have the best that there is available. And just wanted to add in there what Bob was also saying was that they are food state, or in other words, human food, which you've already mentioned, and therefore the absorbability, the way the body's ability to take up the nutrients makes them so superior. Also, I think what you've really emphasized, and what Bob was also emphasizing, was that there are bigger forces out there that we cannot influence, we can't control. But I would like to just add in from what you were saying, Andre, is that the message is coming so loud and clear from the CEO and down, that this company is here to stay and have incredible vision to spread this knowledge that you are talking about how important it is that we do need to supplement, and that the opportunity is massive for us to do that. I just want
Can I chip in there, Monica, just
Yes.
to emphasize what you've said? Something else that is true of the leadership in Neolife is that they don't ignore these forces. They actually go and engage wherever they can. So they're working on not just on producing the good products and telling us that they're good and but they actually go to those groupings that are trying to put control measures in place and so on, and they have the conversation, they point out the differences and all that. So you know, they are working as hard as they can behind the scenes to make sure that no matter what comes down the road, our products will get through the process relatively unscathed. And one thing which has been around for a while, which underpins that, is that they got our products onto the NAPI codes. You know, products don't end up on NAPI codes by accident. It takes a lot of work, probably a lot of money.
Clarify for everybody what the NAPI codes are. Every drug and supplement that is registered with the SAHPRA, as it is called now, has to have a NAPI code, which is the prescriptive, the code they use for prescribing or whatever you call it.
Yeah, so it's had those boxes ticked. It's gone through SAHPRA, for example.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so we hold on with confidence in the management, and the philosophy of this company has really, the values are completely sound, and we can be very grateful that this is where we have found ourselves. But Andre, I just thought I'd add in a little bit of my own story there on the vitamin C side of things. I remember when I first started using products, it was vitamin B. That was my first thing originally. And then I was persuaded to try Formula 4. And then we all got colds and flus. That was up here in Johannesburg when we moved up here. And I looked at the price of the vitamin C, and I looked at the price of going to the doctor. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? If what I'm being told and it works, I'll have plenty of tablets left afterwards and more money in my pocket, because I wouldn't have spent it all on the doctor, if you know what I'm saying. I literally did that sum in my head. And of course, it was vitamin C and zinc, and the problem, the flu or whatever it was solved. And that was a big turning moment for me in terms of my growing commitment to the company. And then along the journey, I think through Marion Gibbs, she sent me an article on vitamin C, and I was absolutely stunned. As a little girl, aged 11, I had that massive spinal op, which you know about, and they put into me stainless steel rods, which are still inside my body, and they are called Harrington rods. They don't do this procedure anymore. And I'm very grateful that they did it. Whatever the lifelong term consequences, they have given me a life. But the significance of that little article, which I've still got here somewhere in my many files of papers, was that Dr. Harrington, who was the initiator of this very new technique for scoliosis, which they, as I said, they don't do this procedure anymore, was endorsing the use of vitamin C for spinal health. And it was just, that was the cherry on the top for me, because I knew then that if nothing else, I was protecting that most important part of my skeleton. And I think that that's also what when you said we're both on the we're in this for the long game, Andre. That for me has been so significant. I think that whatever is going on inside my personal structure, that vitamin C has been essential. So I think we should pull it through to an end now, Andre. We don't want to take too much more people's time, because they will have the video, Bob's video to watch, and this one. We are now at the start of the month of July, August, September. Has everybody booked their tickets for the convention, which they're now calling the summit, whatever it is? Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 months to go. The special for people who didn't take early bird, you can still get it at a reasonable price. Remember, we are in the game of networking. Any new distributors that we get in, please remind them they can get an even cheaper price before the 90 days are up. And there's a challenge going on at the moment in some teams that it is 90 days to convention. So what are your personal goals for the next 90 days? Where do you want to be by the time convention gets here? Talk to your sponsor, your upline, and get your focus in as to how we can spread these amazing products through those 3 daily success habits. Remember to share the product, share the opportunity, and your personal development. I will share as well with you this other very interesting little video from this gentleman Andre spoke about, who is he's been a distributor for 4 decades apparently, and still growing his business. And he has this amazing story about depression. You can use it as any way you want. Remember that he did that under doctors. The amount of omega and vitamin B he took was under doctors' orders, and by implication, from what he says, he was able to over time reduce his and get off the medications. So Andre, I don't know if there's anything more to add. Just to encourage people to attend the trainings. And then the other very, very, very big announcement is, please don't forget there will be a price adjustment the week after next. Is that right, Andre? I think it's the 16th. So you've got a week to talk to all your customers, and if you want to buy in your favorite things before the price goes up, please take action. All right. Is there anything else you want to add, Andre?
No, that's good. Thank you.
No, well, thank you. And thank you, Murray. Nice to see your head there in the back. And have a great week, everyone. Thank you, Rob, for doing this recording.
Onward and upward.
Onward and upwards we go. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.